Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hydromodded this Addiesdive watch. That is a VH31 movement. It looks great, but unfortunately, it stopped running. I'm not sure if it is due to bubbles trapped in the mechanism or due to the oil being too viscous. So today, I'm going to change out the 20 centers Tokes oil for a 5 centers Tokes oil. I'm going to try and blow out as much of the old oil as possible. Also, I'm going to do all the work with the watch and case back completely submerged. This way, no air bubbles will be trapped in the hollow case back when screwing it back on. For starters, I'm removing the bracelet. I'm dealing with a screw-on case back here, so this is very difficult to handle when the watch is submerged in the slippery oil. So I'm going to use contact cement to glue a temporary handle to the case back. Need to degrease the case back first with some rubbing alcohol so the glue will stick better. The handle I'm using is just some plastic cap. So now I'm putting some contact cement on both the handle and the case back, and then blowing, tapping both sides dry. The contact cement will stick immediately as soon as both dry sides make contact. Now both sides are dry. I can attach the handle by firmly pressing both sides on top of each other. The contact cement doesn't have to dry further, but will stick immediately. Yes, now the handle is more or less firmly attached. I can comfortably unscrew the case back. The watch is already filled with oil, so I'm pouring that out. Wiping off the oil from the case back first. To get rid of all the old oil, I decided to remove the movement entirely. This plastic movement holder slips under the case with a notch on the side opposite to the crown, so I have to lift the holder on the side of the crown first, then slide toward the crown a bit, then it slips out. So now the movement is free, the old oil can spill out, and I can dab off the case, crystal, and dial with some lint-free paper towels. I'm also blowing out as much oil from the movement as possible and dabbing the excess off. Oh, wow. See, now the oil has been removed. It started running again. What a relief. Now I'm going to dab away some more and also blow out the oil on the back of the movement just by blowing on the back. Hopefully most of the oil is cleared out now, so I'm installing the movement again. This is easier later on when filling it with new oil. Using this clean container to work in, I'm filling it with an amount of 5 center Stokes silicone oil deep enough so the case back can turn around completely submerged. So it is about 40 millimeter deep. Time to dip the watch into the oil. As you can see, the movement lifts up a bit when pushing the stem down, so the oil will slip under the dial nicely. I'm moving around the watch a bit, hoping that air bubbles trapped inside will also come out. Here I'm using a mirror to check if there are any air bubbles trapped under the dial. I'm also moving the hands round and round, hoping this will remove some more air bubbles trapped inside the movement. Don't know if you can see this, but I'm holding the case slightly tilted upward on the right side so that air bubbles under the dial will float up toward the opening between the case and movement there so the bubbles can escape. Hoping all bubbles are gone now, I'm reinserting the movement holder. I was unable to do this using pincers, so I resorted to just pressing it down with my fingers. Done, and no bubbles so far. So now I can use my glued-on handle trick to screw back on the lid while it is completely submerged in the oil. This would be impossible otherwise because the stuff is so slippery. I tried this before. Oh, the lid doesn't submerge completely when it is on its side. If I turn it around now, I think some air would be trapped underneath, so I'll have to pour in some more oil. I think this should be deep enough to be able to turn it around without air being trapped underneath. Yes. See, now I can comfortably screw back on the lid without having to worry about it being slippery or sitting underwater while they're under oil. It's tightening up. Checking to see if it was screwed on straight and then tightening up further. Ah, now I turned it so tight the glue is coming undone. Must be just about tight enough like this. It seems the glue doesn't leave much of a residue on the watch. That's a nice benefit. May use this method more often. Okay, so far so good. The watch is still running. There are no air bubbles under the dial, and it looks great. Let me just set the correct time and then clean off the oil. And finally put it back on the bracelet and see what it looks like. Well, it looks great to me. No bubbles and it is running still. Let me quickly strap on the same watch with no oil inside too for comparison. As you can see, the oil-filled watch looks more clear. The dial is darker and the viewing angles are better. It looks like a much more expensive watch. Also, the dial of the watch with no oil inside looks like it is sitting deeper in the watch. The dial of the oil-filled watch seems to sit much closer to the crystal, which I find looks nice. Now only hope it keeps running this time. See you next time.